our dear brother, Dr. Dyson, Michael Eric Dyson. You know, he and I had a little friendly, you know, exchange on his show last year over some differences in how we approach media and hip-hop studies and all this other stuff. And I admit I did not do well in my time there. I got a little angry and, you know, didn't. It's a teaching moment. A little emotional. But I was correct. And my point was simply that was that, just a long story short, we just disagreed on the politics of media and hip hop and how to understand and analyze what's going on in the industry, and more importantly, what you will say about it publicly. And he went to a friend of mine. We have a mutual friend, and he went to a friend of mine. And he basically said, "I'm trying to save Dr. Ball's career so that he doesn't become that radical, angry black professor at Morgan State University, and he can have a career more along the lines of mine." And my point was, and it's not to make it a personal thing, but my point is simply that, because it's really not personal, and I agree with what Head Rock has said, that he stopped making rhymes about the whack MC because he wanted to write about the system. And that was actually the crux of my discussion with Dyson, was that the system needs people and will place people in certain positions to make use of their race or their gender or their professed politics to really end up supporting a very conservative, reactionary way of thinking. And so what I'm seeing already happening in my brief career is that there are avenues and doors being shut to me simply because of the positions that I'm taking. And so the work that, but it validates the work that I'm trying to do and reaffirms, for me at least, the correctness of my analysis, that certain shows don't call me, certain publishers don't seek me out, certain avenues are not, and the same thing is happening with music, which is why I've been arguing for an underground press alternative along the lines of people whose names we could recite all day, from Ida B. Wells to Robert Williams to J.A. Rogers and so on, who said, look, we understand the system so well that we are not looking to get placed in the New York Times. One of the biggest problems I had with my dissertation committee at College Park was they were saying, well, why don't you write this for the New York Times, or why don't you write this for the Washington Post? And I was saying, but that's not my audience. Not only would they not publish what I have to say, again, not because of an incorrect analysis or even poor writing, which I could be accused of, to be quite honest. It's more about, or so-so writing. But it's the correctness of the analysis that keeps it out. So when people go on TV and say, radical artists need better beats, or political artists, you know, need to better hook, or whatever, that's ridiculous. And one of the proofs that I have is, you know, just to get more directly to the question, was that I gave a compilation CD to a young student, mostly of Dead Prez tracks at the time. And, you know, she's a young student at College Park, and she came literally running across campus when she saw me one day and was like, I can't believe, she was like, where have these cats been? Why aren't they on the radio? This is great, and so on and so on and so on. And my point was, this is the point. They're not on the radio, not clearly because of their talent. It's because of the content of their music. And we see the exact opposite, of course, every day on the radio, where 3-chord, you know, and that's a huge hit.
And the 808. Can't forget the 808.
And the 808.
I work hard on the 808.
All important components, no doubt. But it's again, and not even to pick on these artists, it's to say that I think we all need to be clear and recognize why we are being rewarded, when we're being rewarded, by whom are we being rewarded, by whom are we being invited when we are invited somewhere to speak, and so on and so forth, which is why I think these kinds of gatherings are so important, because as I understand it, and given the needs of popular media in this society, all that is popular is fraudulent. It can never accurately represent what it claims to be. And I don't really care what it is. That's why Mos Def appears in movies that go around the world. I couldn't believe it when I saw him in, what's that movie, man? The Italian Job. They literally gave him, what's the old straightening thing? Conked his hair. And he sounds all this and that, and then you see him in his own element, and he looks different, he sounds different, his speech is different, his content of what he's saying is different. And the point is that a popular representation of Mos Def can't be, you know, what it is that he would like it to be, simply by definition of the system. So again, it's not about the individual artist or academic or journalist or whatever. It is that we have to be clear. Why am I being rewarded? Why are people looking for me? what politics or purpose am I serving in that so-called popularity? And I think that, so anyway, I just want to say again publicly that it's the artists that are, many of whom are here, that have been mentioned, that continue to inspire me to do the work that I'm doing and to try to help give them some airplay. I tell them, you know, if we give out 1,000 CDs, you're never going to get 1,000 spins on PGC or KYS. This is never going to happen. You can go your whole career and won't get that many spins. So we just try to make that to say that I'm trying to help them as they inspire me, and they deserve to be rewarded. And so anyway, thank you for making the forum for them to, all of that to be heard.
Well, there you go. And I would love to have questions, but we need to get the next panel up. And if you want to talk some more with Dr. Ball and Priest, while the next panel is coming up, feel free to come up and talk to them. Thank you all for coming here and giving us your wisdom and information, knowledge, and expertise.
Thanks for having us.
And while they're getting up, next panel, please come up and take your place.
We're in between runs, actually.
Take our attention.